Good morning. Welcome back. It has been a couple weeks. We had our workshop last week, but we are back live with Product Coffee this week. And we're going to kick it off today with our first cup. And it's on a viral thread on Twitter or X by George from productmanagement.world. He was asking one question that AI can't really answer for us, although it tries. What makes a product manager irreplaceable? Let's welcome back first the man who has trained more product managers and written more 70s ballads than anyone else alive, Steve Johnson, the CEO of Product Growth Leaders. Welcome back, Steve.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Up next, when it comes to artificial intelligence, he's got the real brains. It's Misha Sulpovar. He's VP of AI products at Cherry and CEO of Prompt Owl. Welcome back, Misha. All right.
Hey, buddy.
This guy is so connected in Atlanta tech. If you don't know him, your badge might not even scan. Welcome, Nandu Shah, president of the Atlanta CTO Club.
Hello.
And last but not least, he may not give you the answer, but he'll ask the question that gets you there. It's Devin Smith, founder of Podium Studios. Welcome, Devin. All right, let's dive into it. So, what makes product managers irreplaceable? If everyone can build now, and this is kind of the crux of the article, everyone can build now with vibe coding apps. CPOs, CX teams, data teams, even AI can take requirements and just start building. What is it that makes product managers irreplaceable? So in this thread, George laid it bare. He said, most product managers are one automation away from becoming a glorified feature account manager. Coordination, that's replaceable. You can automate project management. Synthesis, AI does a really good job of synthesizing information. Automatable, yep. So what's left? So today what we want to do is we want to dig into what really matters and ask, what is your uncopyable product management superpower? But before that, let's talk about the article itself. And let's just get started and jump in with Steve. Steve, what were kind of some of your takeaways and thoughts about George's take on the imminent demise of product management?
I'd say all of the stuff that I'm seeing about product management is dead is kind of like all the other are dead thing. You know, Agile is dead, people are dead, product management's dead, whatever. Uh, it seems to me that most people who are going down that path don't really understand what product managers do. And in many cases, they have just a very simplified view of what product management is, which is, writing requirements and managing the backlog and reading aloud to developers from Jira.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, if your job is secretarial, you're gone. So I think, as many of you know, I use a thing called the Quartz Open Framework. And what I'm seeing about all this vibe coding is only one of the 6 facets is people are talking only about how we create things, but they are leaving out defining what problems we want to solve for which target market and committing the resources to do it and so forth. As well as, and when it's all done, we have to prepare the organization so we can deliver it to market. There's so much more to software than what we create.
Yeah. There's more than the output.
Yeah.
Of the process. Cool. Misha, you're down in the trenches with AI every single day, and you have been for a lot of years, longer than some of us have. Tell me a little bit about what your thoughts were when you read this.
Where my head went is, and I agree with parts of the argument here. I think that for folks who did product management, like project management, they need to worry, right? Writing requirements, stories, all that definitely is a thing that's going away, and vibe coding is definitely a thing that's starting to have structures created around it that make it more enterprise ready, although it's not there yet. I think the role of product manager maybe gets back to what it originally was supposed to be, is value discovery and value delivery. And who plays that role, I think, is an interesting question, because where I think that argument points to is I expect to see a certain segment, not everybody, but a certain segment or a certain slice coming from the design community and coming from the engineering community that play that role. And I see a slice of product management, hopefully an outsized slice of product managers also playing that role. But certainly the role seems like it's going to have a different set of tools and a different set of processes than it did before. And we're building the plane while we fly it.
That's absolutely true. We are building the plane while we fly it. And that kind of goes back to the product management role as a whole anyway. I mean, when we started doing product camps, 15, 16, 17 years ago, the reason product camps grew up so fast and so big, and Steve, you were there at the front of this stuff too, is because we were all trying to figure out what is this new modern product management. Sure, the idea has been around since the 50s, or some even say the 30s, but what we were doing when software started eating the world, so to speak, was inventing a new profession. And we're still doing it and reinventing it. Nandu, I know you've got a take on this, and I want to hear your take. I am really curious though with what Misha was talking about there is does this new wave of AI tools and capability open up product management roles to more people who may not have the traditional product management background, or do you think we need more of the people with the real focus on product management?
I think the answer to your question is yes, but I'll go back. So I agree with basically everything that Steve and Misha said, but I want to look at the actual Twitter thread here, the opening and the closing. He starts with, "If everyone's building, what makes me irreplaceable?" And he ends with, "What is a PM's superpower?" And first of all, building was never the PM superpower, right? So like starting with that question doesn't make sense to me. And if you don't know what your superpower is without the tools and processes, then you don't really know what you're doing, right? So AI, all the stuff that's happening, tools and processes, they will change the way work happens, but I don't think they fundamentally change the intent or the point of the work, which I think Misha said it great, value discovery. Right. I think that's really what the modern product role is, to your point about when software started eating the world, because it did qualitatively change at that point. And yeah, sure, of course, this lowers the bar is the wrong way to say it, but this lowers the barriers of entry to make it possible for more people to do those things. And that's what technology does. That's what digital photography has done. That's what even the ability for anyone to easily make a web page going back to like the 90s. I remember being frightened as a graduate student about to enter the job market and saying, well, now all of a sudden there are all these people who can do things that only I could do 6 months ago.
Yeah.
What does that mean for my future? And it didn't mean anything for my future. It meant a richer world where more people were capable of learning and doing things that only a few of us could before.
That's a fantastic parallel. Thank you for calling that one out, because that was a panic, 40 years ago, 30 years ago?
Yep.
Great point.
It was for me anyway.
Add to what Nandu was saying. Years ago, I was a product manager working with a super bright development team, and they had come up with this idea for a product. And I was like, I'm not feeling that good about this thing, but, let me go out there. And I got solid feedback from our customers saying that they would never buy such a thing. And I came back with the bad news, and they said, oh, okay, fine. And then started a secret project. And they got one of the guys in customer support to start calling our customers to see if they would buy this thing. And it took them like 6 months. And when they were working all of this, again, secretly, the CTO was involved, by the way, and ultimately came to the same conclusion that I had shared with them 6 months earlier. But we lost 6 months of our opportunity. So it gets back to, as Misha was saying, value discovery.
Yep.
And one more little rant, and I'll even give you the benefit of the rant button here. There are like 1,000 weather.
You should have convinced him that you were right. You would have saved the time.
Exactly. There are like 1,000 weather apps on the iTunes store, iPhone store. Yeah, I know you can. To quote, what's his name from Jurassic Park, your scientists are so busy thinking about whether we could do it, we didn't ask whether we should.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Can we is not the same as should we. You're absolutely right.
Right.
And that is so much of the focus and discipline that comes from having a good product management function in your organization to decide what are we going to not do as well. Devin,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
threw this at you this morning, and I know you've got a take, and I'm dying to hear what it is.
So, I mean, very similar to what the other bright gentlemen here have said. I mean, the biggest thing for me is it's just the question I wind up asking as I'm reading this thread. It's just like, how bad is it out there really that we continue to see and hear so many people get the premise of what product management is wrong? How bad are the actual product manager roles out there that you start from this premise, this question? I love that, that you said, if you're starting from the question, if other people can build, then what's my purpose? Whoa, you had what a product manager is wrong from the get-go.
Right.
And I've seen it happen actually more and more over the last few years. I'm seeing product managers trying to hop into Figma and wireframe and all that stuff. And I'm like, I'm not saying that you can't express express an idea, but the idea that it's the product manager's job to design the product or to build the product is starting from the wrong place. You guys are exactly right. It's value creation. I'm thinking if I'm a CEO and I have a product manager on my crew, my expectation is that product manager is taking the responsibility part of the responsibility that I have, which is always thinking about value creation. And I have somebody who can focus on an aspect of the product, or who, if they're a product director, VP, CPO, whatever role, that is the main thing. And then shepherding that through validation, through development, through go-to-market. That's what I expect from a product manager. That's what was expected of me as a product manager and as a director of product management. That's what was expected of me. And so this idea that you're supposed to build, and now somehow because of vibe coding, like you don't have a job, like I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, like your organization was just dysfunctional. If you think that AI is going to take your job, you didn't have one.
Yeah.
You weren't a product manager. Sorry.
Right.
I hate to say that.
You weren't creating value if something as simple as a predictive language engine can replace you.
That's right.
Then you were doing predictable things.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So that's my take.
Cool. So, I've got a lot of mixed emotions on this. A lot of them come from, first of all, absolutely. Thank you for calling out that, kind of the lead into the article was, if anybody can build, then what's a product manager's job? You're right. You don't understand. You're not thinking about the right function of product management if you're focused on the building aspect. I think there's a larger conversation going on about, for example, using product managers bringing prototypes to the dev team instead of requirements, instead of a PRD, and that facilitating the discussion. And in a few weeks, I think August 27th is what we're shooting for right now. We're going to actually have a really big discussion on that very topic here. I know Misha and John Field, and hopefully we'll get Steve and some other folks in here to dig in on the changing nature of software requirements and product requirements, and not only how we're creating them, but what form they should take. That's coming in a few weeks. So I don't want to get too far down into today. We don't have enough time. But at the same time, if product managers can bring a prototype to the development team and do that instead of PRDs, well, they've actually been able to do that for a long time. Balsamic's been out for years, for a decade and a half.
Yeah.
And it's a really easy to use tool that any product manager can come bring a low fidelity mock-up or paper prototype into a development team and use it to facilitate a discussion. So these AI-powered tools are a little bit better at it in some ways, and that they can deliver prototype software, but they still, balsamic mockups and Figma mockups didn't replace PRDs yet.
No.
I'm not sure why they would do so at this point, because now we can talk about, and we will talk about and argue the value of the PRD and why it may or may not be important. We'll have a whole different discussion about that.
Yeah.
But on the whole, all these things that AI can help us do better and faster don't change the decision engine. They don't change how we make decisions, choose what to do, choose what not to do, and align what we're doing to the value that we create. So I really appreciated this Twitter thread, because it did point out some really painful things that really kind of start to look like anti-patterns in product management when you really think about it. If you're doing this, then yes, you're replaceable, but should you be doing that?
Right. You shouldn't be doing it.
Or if you're in a smaller organization, maybe we can get more done with fewer people. There's a lot to it, but I would love to give Steve kind of the last word on this. You had a quote in here in the chat, and I'd love you to just kind of expand on that just a moment.
Well, I've said for the longest time, when you bring a solution to your team, you have already rejected 90% of the solutions. And I worked on something recently as an example. I was talking about creating a remote control that my mom could use. She doesn't see well. She's technically inept. And I said, and because she doesn't see well, the buttons have to be big. And I use this as an example. And the first person who replied was a UX person who said, "Why are there buttons?" Without even thinking about it, I had built implementation into requirements. And that's the point. Requirements are supposed to be about problems, not features. And one of my favorite quotes is, when customers and salespeople and product managers and executives describe a solution, they're almost always wrong.
Right.
When they describe a problem, they're almost always right.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's fundamentally my baggage with vibe coding is, here, let me give you something and could you make it pretty, as opposed to
or make it work.
Problem. How do you think we should solve it? And every time I've had that conversation with, frankly, a more senior developer, they give me like 5 different ways they could solve it, all of them better than mine.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, Steve, have you asked an AI to give you 5 ways to solve a problem?
I could, but I also feel that systems architecture is a thing that AI doesn't yet understand.
Awesome.
If I may, real quick, Steve, that's awesome. What you said right there, and it echoes my experience when I would bring the solution, that I'm automatically shutting out certain ideas unless somebody is just really forceful and saying, or they're good at questioning the premise. And I don't want to create an environment where, as at Podium now with our team, I have to be careful about not creating an environment where it requires somebody to question the premise in order to provide the unique value that they can provide. I have to stop coming with the implementation so much. It can be a hard thing to turn off, because before you were responsible for all that, you had to implement, but I have to turn that off. And one of the things that I think is going to happen, just a prediction that I have, is that, and I think we've seen some of this, is the real value of a product manager is being uncovered because of this. And so all of the things that a product manager, who has the title, has done at different companies over the years, but is not really the actual core value that a product manager should bring, is getting stripped away. And so those roles at those companies weren't real product management roles, and they're getting stripped away. And I think that there are probably, I could be wrong about this, I think at first there will be less product management roles as what a real product management role becomes more apparent and the roles get cleaned up. I think there will be less at first, but with the proliferation of who can build something, I think we're going to wind up we're going to go through a trough a little bit where there's some cleanup, and then it's going to go up as more companies are started, where you're going to have that growth phase where it's like, oh, hey, like founder can't do all this stuff anymore. I need a product manager now. But what a product manager is will be way better understood. That's what I think is going to wind up happening.
Interesting. I like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's my hope as well. I agree.
I don't know. I think I'm in the SaaS is dead camp, to be honest, because I think some of the problems we're articulating here, like the lack of ability to do solutions architecture, proper systems architecture, are going to get resolved. In fact, even in the past couple of months, what I've seen in terms of progress between starting with vibe coding to what Claude Code can do now in Opus 4.0.4.1 coming out yesterday is pretty remarkable. And so the question I ask myself is, if you have SMEs in the business, they are much closer to the problem space than the product manager is. And if you've got a product manager that's shepherding a solution as a step-by-step process, or as a problem space as a step-by-step process, that may be a temporary pass-through. But if we think about how like machine learning was done, really the way we build machine learning models, we flip the script. We say this is the outcome we want, and we're going to design experiments where we have hundreds, thousands more experiments that we can manage ourselves to go and try to accomplish that outcome. And we're going to take the best possible outcome of that. I can see an aspect or a direction of product management that sort of starts to look a little bit more like that, where we say, this is the outcome we want, and let's engage different AIs in the life cycle and then test those outcomes against the test harness in one bucket. And the other thing I'll say to that is that I think most SaaS we build now anyway is commoditized. It's all kind of the same thing. It's data and it's different views on data. So what we're really doing is mixing and matching patterns, and there's very little real net new innovation that's going on. There's just applying existing patterns to different use cases. And I don't think there's anything particularly original or interesting about that work. It's work that's necessary, but it's work that I think is going to continue to get commoditized, and there are going to be automation patterns that put those things in place. If I had to prognosticate, unfortunately, we'll find something.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting aspects to me, Misha. And I'd encourage anybody who's out here in the Zoom call, if you want to jump in and weigh in on this, throw your virtual hand in the air. Just look at the bottom of the Zoom panel. So today, we are talking about how product managers are actually using Gen AI. We had a really good chat in the first cup about how some things are impacting the work of product managers and how to think about those. But we're going to get really deep into how you're using Gen AI today in your work, how other product managers who are not necessarily sitting here with us are using it. And I'd really like to also talk about some of the shadow use cases, some of the things that we're doing with Gen AI that maybe we shouldn't be doing, maybe we're not supposed to be doing. There's a lot of that going on. As a matter of fact, there's just a huge, I think the last I saw is 80% of organizations, I think, are dealing with shadow use of AI, which means AI that hasn't been approved in the organization is still being used. And we're going to talk about some of that, some of those things that actually help product people deliver results, but maybe not in the way that they should. And we're also going to talk about, and we'll talk about the why. And we're going to talk about some of the things that we've been talking to a lot of executives and hearing what they'd like their teams to be doing that maybe they're not doing yet. So we're going to dig into all that, but we're going to really crowdsource this conversation a lot. And so one of the things that I'd like to start is we've got a Miro board today. And Kelly, if you would drop that link into the chat so that people can join the Miro board. And thanks, Liam. I also want to give a shout out to Liam.
Yes.
I got to give a shout out to Liam, our producer. And we don't have a camera focused on you, and I wish we did. But Liam has been running the show back here, and he is off to college next week.
Yes.
So we're losing our producer, Liam, at least until the holidays, and we'll make him come back to work during the holidays so he doesn't actually get any time off. But we're so excited, so thrilled with all the great work that you've done producing the show for us, and we're going to miss you too. So now, back to Miro. So what I'd like to do is I'd like everybody to jump in there. You don't need to do anything but follow the guest link. You don't have to join a team or anything. You can jump in anonymously, or you can set up your own account if you want to. But what we'd like you to do is we would like you very much to drop in on the left-hand side. I'm going to speak about this a little bit for a few minutes, but what I'd like to do is on the green Post-it notes, just grab one of those notes and start typing in what are the things that you're using AI for today in your day-to-day product management job, or if you're in between roles, what are the things that you're thinking about specifically? This is how I would do it if I were working in an active role right now. And feel free to copy those notes and make more of them. But we just want to get into what people are doing here. We're going to talk about that a little bit and hear some of the techniques that you're using. While we're doing that, though, I'll just give you a little bit of inspiration here. And we had a conversation with a bunch of product management executives just a couple weeks ago, and we dug in, and I've done some research in kind of where some of the LinkedIn conversations are going and what's really popular, what people are doing a lot of these days. And most of these aren't going to be surprises to you, but if you're just kind of starting to dip your toe in and get serious about generative AI, and I suspect some of you are here today because you are, I want to tell you what some people are doing successfully right now that they're talking about getting great results from. And first of all, a lot of people are using Gen AI to just digest a mountain of user feedback. That's one of the first use cases that we started talking about is you've got all these sources, whether it be from your call center transcripts to feature requests to emails that come in. Product managers have been dealing with a ton of user feedback and data that has been coming in over the years, and filtering through it and making meaning out of it has been really difficult. But we're starting to see more and more organizations feed this information into LLMs to summarize the bulk of this information, and it adds by identifying sentiment in comments that may not be apparent to a traditional, keyword search type of monitor, pulling insights out and creating evidence that backs up prioritization. And we're going to get into the big list here in just a moment. A couple more things, though.